All right, ladies and gentlemen, Yvonne Orji is here in the Black Box. You're welcome
What's going on? How y'all doing?
to the Black Box. How you doing?
I'm good. How
Thanks
about
for being
yourself?
here.
You have a very lovely shirt on.
Thank you.
Yes.
I mean, it's the month of love, isn't it?
Calm down.
I was trying to be corny, but
You look like a 90s R&B singer.
which
Tell me what you want.
was the best era, though?
Tell me what you need.
I need dollars.
Me too. Me too. God, are you hearing us?
Amen. But you were late, though.
I'm so late to what?
You were late here.
No, I'm in Nigeria. I was very early, actually.
No,
I was very
you were an hour late.
I said so.
Are we going to blame Lagos traffic in this?
It's not even that you are blaming it. It's just what it was. It wasn't like...
But
Hi, Ebuka. That's not how we're going to start then.
how often do you come back, though?
I try to come home every year. This is actually a very spontaneous trip. You can actually blame COVID. I was working in Atlanta on a show, and someone got exposed.
Which of your many shows? We'll get to that. Booked and busy.
To be unnamed. And someone got exposed, and so just to be on the safe side, they shut down. And I was like, well, I don't want to feel like going back to LA because then I have to come back to Atlanta to shoot anyway. And I said, Lagos is 11-hour flights. I think I could do this. Like, I literally just bought my ticket on Tuesday, and I was on a plane by Friday. I had to get my passports FedEx to me from my house in LA. What it was that my brother had come, and I saw my niece playing with him, and Uncle, you came. I said, thunder fire punish all of you people. Is it only Uncle he came? She would be calling. So yeah, I was like, nah, I need my niece to know Auntie Yvonne as well.
So you come every year?
Just about. The last time I was here was when I shot my special.
Oh, yes.
In 2020, before we knew that COVID was coming. This is,
The year that was supposed to be.
In fact, I was like, I must go to Nigeria. And then afterwards, COVID was like, you must stay home. Yeah.
So are your parents here? Oh.
My parents are here. My brothers live here.
I thought but you all moved to America.
We did.
Then they moved back.
When my mom retired, she was like, you people, if you like, do something with your life. If you like,
I'm gone.
If you like, fail. But me, I was like, oh God, okay. She has tried, Sha.
Okay, I didn't know that. I knew you guys had a home here, but I thought it was just family comes in and goes out.
Yeah, my dad made sure we had a home in the village and we had a home in Port Harcourt.
Yeah.
And preserving culture was very big for him. He was like, if anything happens to you in America, where will you go? And, this is pre-Trump era. He was very right. My father is a prophet. So he was like, I just want to make sure that you guys know that you have a home. Yeah. And so he, he built our houses here so we can have a place to come back to.
That's actually really nice. But you were born here?
I was born in Port Harcourt.
And you left when?
When I was about to be 6, so 1989.
What are your Port Harcourt memories from the 80s? Anything that things that stand out for you?
So, in fact, my childhood memories mostly are from Port Harcourt, and there's a big gap. But going to Shell Club, swimming with my friends. I went to Aboloma, eating sweet suya, the kind that's in the 2-day-old newspaper. Maybe if it's a year-old newspaper.
The better. The older the newspaper, the better.
The ink that gets on the meat.
It's part of the flavor.
And if you don't have the exhaust that passes by, what kind of meat are you eating if it does not have exhaust? The fumes are what makes the suya stand out. So I just remembered kicking it with, family friends. There was like 3 different families that we all hung out together. And so we just, back then it was just very easy. We were free black kids.
Yeah. You lived in an estate or?
We lived in an apartment first.
Okay.
We lived
so you had like a lot of neighbors, is what I'm trying to establish.
I had a lot of neighbors, and then we moved to GRA. Yes, and then one of our friends who was also a teacher at Aboma would shuttle us and her kids to class.
You went to school in Abuloma? Oh, okay.
Primary school.
Yeah.
I was very smart. I'm still very smart. I'm a smart person.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, memories of school?
I just remember the burgundy and white checkered
uniform.
I loved it because we all look the same. Which one is? Are you reaching at me? I don't know. We're in the same uniform
And the same black shoe or sandal.
So, in fact, it was just simpler times. Honestly, it was like everyone was your parent. Like family was very mixed. It was just whoever was where. My godparents, my godmother actually delivered me.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I write that in
She was
book.
a nurse, a midwife.
She was, she's OBGYN.
Okay.
So I wrote that in the book that I came out holding my mom's IUD in my hand.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, you thought you were going to keep me away?
I'm with you.
Are you looking for this? What God has planned, no man can put us under.
Did you really come out with this here?
I really did. I was clenching it. My mom thought she was done after 3 boys. She was like, okay, we have finished. And then God said,
You're like, nope.
Bamboozled by Jesus, part 1.
That's actually really hilarious.
Yeah.
So you were not supposed to be here.
That's what they say.
How does that make you feel?
Like I have purpose. like I'm here for a reason.
Did it affect anything? Like the way
actually,
your parents, of course, I'm sure they were very excited to have you, but
yeah,
did you ever get a sense?
Everyone thinks they want a boy child. Everyone thinks they want a boy child, and then they get a girl child, and they're like, our life is complete.
Yeah.
And this is the one that will take care of us in our old age. You're correct. So, no, I actually I've heard that story for so long that it just kind of became part of my specialness, if you will.
Yeah.
My and I actually think it's like part of my defiance. So, when I actually defied my parents after getting a master's and deciding not to go to med school and, making people laugh for a living, or as my mom would say, you want to be a jester. I felt like, I've actually been doing this my whole life. Like y'all had a plan and I just come in and wreck it. So this is on brand.
So you only have brothers?
Older brothers, yeah.
And you're the last born?
In fact.
Were you spoiled?
I don't know what that means. Who is spoiled in a Nigerian household? Please tell me.
Some last borns are, actually.
Last
born, only girl. You could be.
That was not the case in my house. I want those people to come and talk to me so I can ask them what the experience was like.
So what did your parents do in Port Harcourt, actually?
So my dad was a contractor with the oil companies, and then my mom was a nurse, and so actually that's how we got to go to America.
Okay.
Back in the 80s, there was that nursing shortage, and so they were recruiting, and she passed the test because she too is also very, very smart. And back then it was very easy immigration-wise. She was like, "I'll come, but I have a family," and they were like, "They can all come."
Oh wow!
So that's how we got to go to America.
Did you have friends from school then that you're still in touch with? Faintly at all.
Yeah, I mean, I think just the family friends that we went to school with. Yes, we're still like.
So when you knew you were moving to America, of course you were 6.
Yeah, I was 6.
So you were aware.
I just knew my dad was taking us on a plane because my mom came before us just to get set up and make sure that we would have a place. And then my dad brought us, and so it was like, we're going to see mommy. I think that's probably all I remember. And then we left and arrived in November, which is the coldest deep winter. And as a kid, you see snow, and you're like, "Oh, this is fun for a while," but then you're like, "This is very cold. Why are we here?"
Did the idea of America make sense to you at the time, or the idea of moving your life at 6 years old?
No, I don't think we thought about it. I think it was just, I know that before we left, we had like a send-off in Ihiala, which is, where we're from. And I just remember that being.
I'm from Okija, by the way.
Okay.
So we're next to each other. Well, go on.
I can't fight. Anybody listening to this that's wondering what's happening in this studio, let me tell Ebuka, I cannot fight. My hand is on the ground. And because I don't want any parts of anything. I'm sitting.
I'm not involved.
I'm just minding my business. JJ is sitting here. Yeah. Now you've told me.
About moving. You had a send-off in Ihiala.
Yeah, we had a send-off in Ihiala. And I just remember that being like a big deal. My grandfather was the Owehi, and, they killed the ram, and, the pastors came and prayed. We still have like the picture of like all of my brothers and my dad and my grandparents standing with us. And it was like, that was your last weekend before you went to America. And I just remember that, like, oh my gosh, like this feels important, but I also feel loved. And I think America's a very different place than Nigeria. Nigeria is very family oriented,
communal.
Very communal. Not so much, when my experience was not great. I was different, and so where in Nigeria you make friends. People say, my friend from SS1 and SS2. We went to King's College together, like all of that. That was not my experience, because you're different, and then you're called African booty scratcher, which I was like, when did you people see me
scratching the booty?
And also, does your own not itch from time to time? Don't you need to scratch it? In fact, if you have not scratched, you have not lived. But that doesn't mean that that's what I am. And then it was this thing of, our food smell very different. So like they get on your clothes and it's like, you stink. And it's like, when you're used to a homogenous society almost, it's like the things
jarring.
that people are telling you that make you different. Here it's like everyone smells like stockfish. Like
it's not that deep.
Or just like, whoa, your mom cooked some really good soup yesterday. In fact, can we come over and have some? Like it's like the thing that endears you to other people was the thing that made me different. And because I was so young and I was so just wide-eyed, I was like, can we be friends? And they were like, no. But I made it my mission, because it was like, this thing doesn't make sense. You'll be my friend, I'm sure. And so I was bullied for so long.
Wow.
Yeah, I was bullied from...
Where did you move to, first of all?
We moved to Maryland.
Maryland, okay.
Yeah.
Buloma to
Maryland, yeah. So and we came over with my mom's best friend. So my mom, like, before she left, like, went to a farm to get some chickens, and then she met this woman, my auntie Uzo, and then they just hit it off. And so she was like, I'm applying to this thing for nothing. And Uzo was like, we'll come. And this is how much we tell them they're, like they will pay us. So it was like they were the yin and yang to each other's lives. And so Auntie Uzo and her family, she also had 4 kids. And so we just became close. We moved to Maryland together. So it was just us. But yeah, it was really, it wasn't I stuck to books. I stuck to reading, schooling, because, the one thing I learned, you can't be unpopular and you can't be dumb at the same time. You have to choose one if you want to be a dunce.
So you didn't even get a chance to, like, be seen, is what you're saying.
Yeah,
it was
I
just
didn't.
there was no, were you the only black or the only African?
No, what's funny is there was another African girl, but because she was tall and she could beat everybody, she pretended as if she didn't know me. Can you imagine? If I ever say I know her name, first and last, I won't call her, but I was very disappointed. I was like, auntie.
But not Nigerian.
She was Nigerian. In fact,
our sister.
She's not my sister. God bless you. She's not. I still remember her. And funny enough, not too long ago, I looked up, like, what is this girl even doing with her life? I was like, okay, I don't know. She has some job.
Wait, you guys were in the same school, same class?
Same African.
And you guys were not friends?
But she was just,
she was with the popular people.
It's kind of like, if someone's getting bullied, there's 2 types of people. The people that'll stand up and be like, yo, what's going on with y'all? Like, I can make a decision for myself. But, in that age group, no one wants to be different. No one wants to be ostracized, right? And so, or you have the people who, like, shun. Shun. It's like, yeah, she does think, Bridget, you smell just like me. Like, what are you talking about? Oh, I just said her name. Damn.
We shall look for her on Instagram.
It's okay. You don't know her last name.
So you get there at 6. You start getting bullied from day 1 in school.
Just about, yeah. Because I still have very thick, like the accent that like little kids have. Auntie, I want to drink small stouts. Like that. Just have that accent. And so I had I was smart, but it was like, A plus B equals Z. Like, no, girl, we say Z here. What the hell? What is Z? I don't know. Yeah. So, I didn't know a time when I wasn't bullied. Because the also thing too is everyone who went to my elementary school also went to my middle school.
So it was the same people. It
was the same damn people. I was like, I gotta get out of here. And I did. My mom sent me to boarding school for high school.
Yeah. Did you have any friends there?
I'm sure I did. I remember, yeah, 1 or 2, but I really retreated to, like, myself. I retreated myself. I didn't know that God was probably preparing me to be an actor, but like I would make up stories and like talk to myself in the mirror and like have full on like
monologues.
or just even like what I would say to the people the next day at school. So I would just be like dialoguing with them, or I would go to the library and rent like 12 books and like read them. And Mom, you better read all this. I can't pay late fees, and she never did because I would just. I mean, if you're not hanging out with people, what are you doing? You're reading. Me and my brother sometimes would play Nerf ball and like outside of our house.
Yeah.
But I made friends with adults, so that was the thing. Like the teachers couldn't tell me
outside of school.
Yeah, or the teachers.
Oh, the teachers. Okay.
The teachers couldn't tell me to go get away from them. How can? So I was their friend. Like there's one teacher in particular, Miss Rice. This is 5th grade. She would have me come to church with her. So she was the first time I saw like a black church experience. And I was like, this Holy Spirit that's causing these people to fall out. Why is he so
quite intense.
like it's very intense because we were raised Catholic and grew up Catholic. So I was just like, black people are just running around the church like that. So I'm falling for no reason. Like what if they get hurt? But I just kept going.
Yeah. Were your brothers in your school?
Mm-hmm.
Did they know?
Yes.
Could they have done anything?
They were popular, so again, they were like.
That didn't help you in any way?
Only when the girls would be like, "We won't bully you if you give us your brother's number," and I was like, "Okay, this is trifling." Yeah, no, they kind of did their own thing. Everyone kind of did their own thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Did that affect you in any way? Positively, maybe?
What?
The bullying. Like now.
I mean, the positive effect that the bullying had on me was that now I am such a person that's conscious of what other people may be going through. And so it's not even that I go out of my way, but I'm very conscious of either complimenting people or making sure that they feel included, because I know what that is like to feel excluded. But no, I have been through many years of therapy to undo what the bullies have done.
Still in therapy?
Oh, yeah, I recommend it. If you're not in therapy, my God in heaven, please, you have trauma that you don't even know that you're putting onto people. Therapy is probably one of the greatest gifts that I have given to myself. Because it's like we go through systems, and even beyond the bullying, just even being Nigerian, we go through things that we think are normal. And it's not until you realize, like,
That's not normal.
This is not what it's supposed to be. There's another way, I spent much of 2020 and 2021 becoming less Nigerian. And every time I say that, it feels very provocative. But even the girl who has Nigerian carry last tatted on her wrist, I say that because God had a very direct conversation with me. And he said, the things that got you to success will not sustain you in success. And so I need you to have a new relationship with me. And the thing that got me to success was my Nigerianness. It was like, my gra-gra, never let them see you sweat, keep going. When I graduated from high school, it was like, hey, now what college are you going to? I graduated from college. Okay, it's a grad school. And then I graduated from grad. Like, there was no, we're taking this moment to celebrate you and to say congratulations. It was like your life didn't even start until after your master's program, right? It was like, why are you not going to graduate from undergrad? It was almost the thing of like, what are we celebrating? Yeah. The thing that we expected. And, you can go through your life then. It's like it's a never-ending quest of like, well, when have you ever arrived? And so becoming less Nigerian meant, it was a hard process of separating my work from my worth. And I'm so grateful that I did it, because I think I would probably be very depressed this year. Obviously after ending 5 seasons of a show that basically skyrocketed my career, I have a lot of things in the works, but, we don't appreciate the cooking season. Nigerians are always like, the food is ready, not the process, not the grinding the okra with the crayfish, and no, food is ready. We're showing you the food is ready. And so the building season would have been very hard for me, knowing that how can I enjoy this moment where things are brewing and things are developing, but it's just kind of like if you drive a stick shift, you have to go back to gear 2 to get to gear 3. You have to you have to go back. But we don't appreciate that. We don't celebrate the moments. We don't celebrate the pause. Growing up, in my household, I'm sure many other Nigerian households, it was like, there's always something to be done. Okay, you finish reading, go and clean your room. You clean your room, okay.
You
go
can't
and
just
wash the
be
car.
idle.
You can't, it's just like, the thing that actually jump-started this for me was in the pandemic. My roommate is a Caribbean woman, and she's also in therapy, and, I was in therapy. And the talk was like, what are your hobbies? I said, which one is hobbies? Everyone's talking hobby. Which one's hobby? And it's like the conceit of having something you do just for fun, not thinking of how to make a business out of it. Because for me, it's like, oh, well, if I like painting, then maybe I can sell this on Etsy, and then maybe it can be my side hustle. It's like
even if it's $100,
just small pocket money. At least that's gas money. Like, we're thinking of how to monetize everything, as opposed to like, this thing just brings me joy. When was it like Nigerian? It brings me joy. That's not even a sentence that like you hear often. Yeah. And so I really struggled. I was like, this hobby. I'm a child of immigrants. What hobby? Our hobby was making straight A's. I haven't been in class since 2008. I'm like, what am I talking about? And so I had to sit with myself, like, and really go back to like, what did I enjoy doing as a child? Okay, I like swimming, but the pools are closed. Okay, and so I discovered tennis. I was like, oh my God, I did like tennis. But it was such a journey just to even be like, what do I like for myself that does nothing else for anybody else, that is not, because I used to tell my therapist, I was like, my work is fun. And she was like, okay, your work is work. I was just like, your work is work. What is your hobby? Yeah. And that was a hard thing. And so, really separate, we're very performative in everything in Nigeria. Even our grief is performative. If you're not sad enough when someone you love dies, like, maybe you killed them, or, maybe she's happy he's gone. And it's like, maybe people handle grief differently. Everything has to be perception and perceived, and I found myself very successful in asking, well, who was this for? Because I had ideas. I was like, okay, but when I make it, everyone will feel this way, finally. Because I mean, my inception story, we can get to that, but I was poor. When people say they're poor and then they're in Bali, I'm like, you're not poor. I'm like, how did you get there?
You still have tickets.
You still had visa money. Like, what are you like? What are we talking about? No, my poor is, okay, how much is a salad at the 99-cent store? Like, that's what I mean. Like, I'm doing legit grocery shopping at the dollar store, and you have to eat the produce in 2 days because it would expire. Like, that was my poverty. And so when I made it, I had this idea, like, yes, I'm making it for us, and this is how people will feel because it's been such a long time, and blah, blah, blah. And like, there was no fanfare, there was no from the people that I expected it from or wanted it from the most. And that really sent me into well, what the heck? I mean, I know God had this for me, but like, who were you doing this for? And
really,
who are you really doing this for? And asking yourself tough questions. We don't stop to ask ourselves tough questions, because the truth is really, it can be liberating or damaging. Yeah. And you have to decide for yourself what it's going to be for you. For me, I needed it to be liberating.
Yeah, but there's also the counter argument about, how the Nigerian-ness you're talking about is really what makes us who we are and gets us to where we are. I mean, I've seen you in a couple of interviews where you've talked about, how this push or this, the Nigerian-ness of your parents or your family kind of made you become this person where there's a constant, you have to be better, which is also the immigrant story of a lot of Nigerians in America, where there's excellence is the only standard.
Yeah, there's two sides of that coin, though. We're always evolving. If excellence is the only standard, I write in the book about how the first time that
this is the book, by the way. She said the book
by Jesus, how God tricked
we'll get to that.
into my dreams. I read in the book the first time my agent pushed me outside my comfort zone. So it was my comedy agent. I was in Atlanta filming Night School with Kevin Hart and Tiffany Haddish, and I was like, oh, I'm in Atlanta. Okay, let me see what it's like out here to do comedy in Atlanta, because I've done it in DC, I've done it in New York. Let me try this new market. And my agent, Heidi's beautiful white woman who all she does is comedy. And so she came back not too long after and was like, okay, you're all set. You're the headliner. I said, hey, which one is headline now? Me, I asked you for just small. In fact, don't even tell people I'm coming. I'll just dash in, dash out, that kind of thing. No, she made me the headliner. And then I was like, well, how long am I supposed to perform for? She was like, an hour. I was like, thunder, fire. No, I'm not. Like, what did I asked you for 15, maybe 20 minutes. And I'd never done an hour. And I remember being so scared, and the thing is, like, it shocked me how nervous, because it was like, the Nigerian in me, it's like I'm supposed to be good at this, and so it's like go for it, but like the human in me is like, this is nerve-wracking, and it just I don't want to fail, and then everyone's going to think of me as a failure, and no, that's too much pressure. And she said, well, no matter what happens, we'll at least know where you are. I said, what? Heidi, come again. She was like, yeah. I mean, if you do great, then we know you have an hour. And if you don't, then we at least know how to pivot and go from there. I said,
it's still up to you.
But you're not the one that's going to be on the stage when the black Twitters are going, Yvonne Orji from Insecure bombed. And, and I was just like, what? So then the Holy Spirit in me was just like, girl, just say yes, because it was like, oh my God, my first headliner, like my first hour, because that's still so exciting as a comic, but I'm afraid because I'm like, I don't have enough. So I was like, what's gonna happen? The tickets aren't gonna sell, and the tickets are not gonna sell. It's fine. This is not gonna be a problem. Tickets sold out in 2 days, and I was like, God, who are these? A lot of people who have nothing but
what
time.
are they looking for?
Exactly. So the ticket sells out. So I'm like, what? My friend Little Rel Howery was in town. Some other comedians were in town. So by the day of the show, oh wait, actually no, it sells out. And Heidi calls back and was like, oh, tickets are great. Do you want to add a second show? Auntie, stay in your lane. Because just sit in the corner. And so I was like, we are not pushing our luck, Heidi. Because that was the other thing too. I was like, well, if it doesn't sell out, then I'll look like everything came down to like, I'll look like a failure. It's the Nigerianness of it all, right? And so I packed the show. I was like, oh, I'm going to have Little Rel do like 20 minutes. I'm going to have my other friend do 15. Like, by the time it gets to me, I'll only need like 10 minutes.
10 minutes to do it.
So finally, Rel is like, I'm coming off, and he's like, you can't hide anymore. Your name is on the logo, on the marquee. They came to see you. So before I got on stage, the guy's like, all right, so do you want me to give you a light at 50 minutes? I said 50. Uncle, please put your phone away. I won't need the lights. I'll be off by 10. And so, but something happened when I got on there, and I think God just needed me to say yes. He just needed me to be trembling but trusting. And so I got on the stage, and it was like electric. It was all the fear, all the whatever. It's just like, it wasn't even there anymore. So by the time I got off the stage, I was like, how much time was that? The guy was like, an hour and 10 minutes. And I was like, what? So the same person that was afraid to even do an hour gave them more. And I say that to say, one thing I said that was very important about that experience was that Heidi actually gave me the opportunity to fail. Yeah. No one had ever presented
failure as an option.
Well, and let's just see. Let's just what? They're like, let's just see. Let's just see. And just the effort, because for me, I was like, no, we can't just see, because that comes with consequences. If I'm not good, then that means that I'm not good. And then what does that mean for me and for you? And then people won't pay me. And then da-da-da-da. Like, I just had all of these things. And meanwhile, she was just like, take the pressure off. Have fun. Let's just see. Where in Nigerian society is that option? If you fail one thing, okay, you must take your summer classes and you must try this again because you must get past it with A levels. And it's like, dang, what if I'm not good at science? What if that's why I'm failing? And I think that you're absolutely correct. The fierce gangsterness of my Nigerianness and my Christianity, they are the things that propelled me to excellence. They are the things that propelled me to success. I give them full credit. But I'll say it like this, if you're always carrying a pail of water to the well to get water, and then someone brings a borehole and you can just open a tap, but you're like, no, this is where I know to get water. This is where I know to get water. There's an easier way to get water. But because you have convinced yourself, like,
that hard work,
this is the way, the water tastes better with suffering. It's like, it doesn't.
It's still water.
It's still pure water will come out of the tap, just like the water will come. You're actually giving yourself sciatica. You're giving yourself, just lower back pain, a headache. But you know what I mean? Like, so that's what I mean when I'm like, sometimes you just do things because this is how it's always done, and this is the habit, or this is the way we got success. Because the reality is, you're right. When there was no borehole, this was how you got water.
But there's other ways now.
But now you have more information. And I think God was like, he showed me the story of Gideon, of like, Gideon didn't even know he was a warrior. He didn't even know. He was like, mighty what's? Please look again. I'm the lowest and I'm the weakest link. And then God says, go and fight. And then God says, actually, trim your army. Huh? So now I'm only going with 300 people. Now, after this, God, okay, no shaking. At least we can fight. We have swords. Then God says, no, put your swords down. You're playing. Blow the trumpet, Gideon. Blow the instruments. That's how you win the war.
Yeah.
Now you can be the gra person. Wars are won with metal. Wars are won with stabbing people. And it's like, yeah, you would die. And so for me, I'm in my season of like, how can I be very, very successful playing the trumpet? And so that's what it means. I'm giving myself new information. The Nigerian in me is always in me. I'm very smart. You know what I mean? Yeah. But it's just like, how can I do more with less? And that's a thing that, like, if you say that, it's like, hey, you're trying to do 419. No. Like, there's an easier way to life. So last year I did a lot of traveling. Because even the American way of living is not it. This rat race, I don't desire it. I don't desire it at all. And so I left. I was like, hey guys, if someone needs me, I'll be in Morocco. I'll be in Bora Bora. I just started traveling. And no one needed me. That's the thing. The old me would have been like, I gotta stay because, what if someone calls? If someone calls, then you can exchange your flight.
But that also came with some measure of success?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So for someone who's not there yet, can they afford to be less Nigerian when you're still on the come up?
It depends on what you want. Right? You got to do what you got to do. You're always evolving. As long as you leave room for evolving, because even the way I did it is not the way you'll do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So maybe for you, God gave you a shortcut. It's like, you don't need the gra-gra. Start with the trumpet. You know what I mean? Like, Gideon wasn't a warrior for 20 years before God told him to play the trumpet. Gideon just got the message. You know what I mean? So it's like, maybe your own is a fast track to, like, you know what, you will not even know suffering in the name of Jesus.
Amen.
Like, your own will be because you gave, like, you were so kind. It's like the woman with the issue of blood. She was like, I just need to touch his hem. Okay, I got faith enough. And he was like, cool. Your whole thing is healed. The person who came back to say thank you, and God was like, and Jesus was like, didn't I heal 10 of y'all? Oh, so you're the only one that has gratitude. No shaking. You will never know pain again in your life. So it's like, maybe you just need to be grateful to somebody, and that person, I always say, somebody somewhere is using their power, their ability, and their influence on my behalf. And I don't know where that is coming from. I don't know who. It may be the person sitting next to me. It may be the whatever. But it's just kind of like, I wholeheartedly believe that if you do what you know you're supposed to do, your kingdom builders are going to find you. So it may not, it may not be the gra. It may just be like, you're really good. We're in an age where things happen. Like, there's a book that I'm like, oh my God, I love this book. I want to option it. It was a Nigerian author that was published here. I tried to find this book. I was like, Amazon's not delivering. I was like, where is this book? I had to like find it on Kindle, and then it was like, yeah, it was published here. And I just had a meeting with the author today, and I'm sure she's kind of like, I'm sorry, Yvonne Orji from like America wants to meet with me. Yeah, I just happened to be in town, and I happened to download your book before I got on my plane. That's nothing that she put on her vision board, but she did the work already. She did the work. The title was catchy. I just happened to be in a place in my life where I'm like, I want to give voice to other African creatives, especially Nigerian creatives, and so I'm looking for that. So her pipeline is probably going to be easier than the next person. So you know what I mean? The Nigerianness, what she did was just do the work.
We'll get to, creatives here and all of that, but I want to just rewind to where we were before we kind of. What school did you go to in Maryland before boarding school?
What school did I go to? It's taken out of my mouth. No, Oakland Elementary and Eisenhower Middle School. And then I went to boarding school in Lidditz, Pennsylvania, Linden Hall School for Girls.
Boarding school was a girls' school. Mm-hmm. Before that, you were in
Oakland and Eisenhower.
Oh, okay. Did you have boy stories from then?
Yeah, my mom slapped me one time when she thought I was talking to a boy.
That was not the kind of story I was looking for.
I was like, that's the only one I had. I was like, message received.
Because being bullied is one thing, but boys could still have paid attention.
No. I think it was also very different. Like, I think, I think the damage might have been done by then. When you're told you're ugly or you're told you're, whatever, and you're just you believe, for whatever reason, my makeup was like, I believe them, because I don't think it also wasn't like affirmed. Like my parents were very much we did not come to America for you to make friends, so it's just kind of like, oh, okay. Well, I kind of want this thing. So it's, and even if they were like, but you're beautiful, it's like, well, you have to say that I came from you. So like, then if I wasn't, then you would be ugly, so I don't think I could receive it from them. I was in survival mode, to be honest. I wasn't even trying to do anything outside of just get out of here and make it. When I was around 12 years old, I saw a sign that was like, I hope my enemies live long to see what I become in the future. And then that became my vow. And even that I have to drop now, because it's like,
it's not about them.
Essentially, I wanted my life to be vengeance.
It's like a lot of the captions we see on social media now, my haters. Yeah. Haters.
It was like I wanted to win with my life. But it was like, my life is not a weapon.
Yeah.
My life, I mean, it's like, sure it can be, but I'm not wielding it. My life is great, and I'm going to like live it because it's what I intend on doing, not because it's like,
I need to show them.
I hope when you see it, yes, I hope when you see it, you feel bad for everything you did to me. No, if you do, good luck. You're not even thinking about me. And that's one thing I had to like unlearn. That's one thing. Like it was a series of different types of unlearning. But honest to God, I think that motivation was phenomenal.
All the time.
That motivation was. But we make one thing I learned in therapy. We make vows to ourselves, and so now it's just like, well, what vows are outdated? I have a cousin who made a vow. Because, her father wasn't, in their life in a way where, like, he was financially supportive. And so she made a vow. No man, I'll never be dependent on a man for money. This is young, never be dependent on a man for money. Went through law school, just board executive, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Married a guy who didn't make more. And now she's just like, hey girl, when you get mad, you better make sure. And because it was like that vow was outdated. But what I appreciate was that she was able to pinpoint, like, I had been running from this thing so much in my life that I ended up marrying somebody who was a self-fulfilling prophecy. And now I'm not happy. Yeah. Because the reality was like, anytime you live in the extremes, I will never ever allow it. It's like, you're living in the extremes. You have like, it's not going to work out. You know what I mean? What vows do we make to ourselves that are outdated? I will show my father. And it's like, well, okay, show him what? Like he you know what I mean? He's lived his life. Like, what are we doing? And so I think it's that vow. Anything you do, you always have to check the motive, right? Check your motive. Even when you give, check the motive. Are you giving because you're like, they can see I gave a lot, and don't give. Yeah. If you're giving and it's like, well, I'm only giving because I know I will come and ask, so I wanted to make sure that I come. Like it's not a good motive. If you're just like, oh my God, girl, how can I help you? Okay, I'm giving. I don't even want it back. Like, or give it back to me whenever you want. Like, what is your motive? And if your heart is pure, if the integrity of your heart is right, like that's what you will receive back. And sometimes our motives for something, even in the good things, like our motives for success could be, when I get to the top, I'll show them. It's like, you're going to get to the top and then you're going to find it's very lonely when that is your driving force. Because after you show them, then what? Then what? Then now you have a whole.
There's no more motivation.
There's no more motivation, and there's a whole group of people that now you're cut off from, as opposed to being like, yo, we had beef before, but like, let's get this money together, okay? Like, listen, bygones be bygones. You weren't the best version of you when you were coming up. I wasn't the best version of me when I was coming up, because everybody got their dirt. So let's figure out how to make this money together. That's a different energy. You know what I mean? But everybody's on a different healing journey. That much I know.
You are preaching today, sister.
This is
Well
just
done.
me.
But once again, back to the points I was making.
I don't think you understand
Why
how
did
I
you-
do. I don't think you understand how I do podcasts.
Don't worry, I've listened to you a lot, so I know.
Because-
But I just want to get that out. You say your mom slapped you about a boy. Why? I want to get that point.
Ebuka, why are you bringing up old stuff? Ebuka, why are you bringing up old stuff?
Because I'm just trying to get to know. I mean, we know Yvonne now, but we don't know how Yvonne got here.
So what happened was my mom was picking me up from school, and Nigerians are not patient people. They're not patient people. My mom she had probably like worked overnight and was tired, and so she was in the car. I didn't know I didn't think this was pre-cell phones. I'm very sure this is pre-cell phones. So she had been waiting in the parking lot. But at this point, like, I was talking to a boy in my lock, and this was probably going to be my first kiss. And what's funny is...
How old were you?
8th grade. So I was at 11, maybe 11, 12. And what's funny is I heard the keys jingling. And other people saw her before, because my back was turned to where she was. And other people saw her before I did. And so we were macking by the thing, and it was like we were getting close.
By your locker.
By my locker, we're talking, he's macking. Okay. And I think it was like, he was like one of the popular boys, and it was like, oh my God, this is my moment. And, the girls were around like, ooh. And I just heard, Yvonne. I was like, oh God. And I turned around.
Wait, sorry. Why is she in your school?
Because she was going to pick me up.
And you were wasting time because you were trying to kiss me.
In fact, I was this lip side.
So she walks in.
And not only does she not see me like in choir practice, not like I was in choir practice or like clarinet practice. I was literally like about to tongue down some boy, and she called my name, and I mean, come see, Fia catch me, hey. Just Jesus. Just the way it just cashed me. And I turn around and baga.
She slapped you there.
Why should she shy? Why should I shy?
I thought she took was at home.
No.
With your friends there, with
the
the boy there.
In fact, the boy probably left like, I don't know what she about to do to me. Because everybody can get it. Yvonne Orji said, everybody can get it. Go. So, so the first one went baga. I couldn't even like regain, and then I felt a baga on the other cheek, because the Bible said, turn the other cheek. My cheek was turned by force. And so that was, I came to school the next day.
Wow, that's actually a lot. How'd you go back to school after that?
Because was I going to stay home? You're embarrassed. Me, I'm tired. So I embarrassed you. You made me wait. After working 89 hours in one day, I'm like, there's only 24. What's happening? 89 hours in one day on my feet with my knees hurting and waiting in the car while you're trying to gallivant with some young boy. Thunder fire. So, I mean, I had no other choice but to go to school. The girls were like, girl, it's okay.
It's not okay. It's not okay.
They're like, girl, it's okay. Everybody parent beat them. They just don't know. I was like, does your mother beat you at school?
In the middle of
the broad daylight. I don't even think that the principals were even going to touch that one. They were like, leave it alone, girl. Like, nobody was calling and child services, because them two can get. Come on, take her. No, come on, take her. The foolish bagger. Come on, take her. In fact, this is her bag. I packed it for you.
Did that make the bullying worse?
I mean, it didn't help. I mean, it was more like, I don't think they bullied me of that. They just like laughed at me of that. It was like, you don't want your mama come up here and slap you. I'm like, nigga, just damn it. Yeah, it wasn't my finest moment. It wasn't sexy. So I think I was like, I'm okay with boys.
I was gonna
I'm
say,
okay.
did you talk to any boy?
It's okay. I went to all girls boarding school. I was like, this is like a sleepover. This is wonderful. In fact, I like it here.
Was that why she took you to boarding school?
No, we all went to boarding school. So actually,
Okay.
by the time I went to boarding school, I was ready because again, my motivation for doing things are very different. All my brothers before me went, and anytime they would come back from like break, my aunts and uncles would give them cash money. We give them, toiletries and different gifts. Just because
They
we'd
had
be gone.
things.
And I was like, it's like Christmas in September. Me, I want to go to this boarding school. So I wanted to go. And I didn't want to go where my brothers were because, again, it was cold because they went to school in, like, Massachusetts. And I was like, I'm not doing that. And the thought of all girls it didn't feel, because I didn't have any sisters. So I was like, oh, great. And then also you don't have to worry about boys. I was a straight A student. I was president of my school, of my class. It was great. Like, I just focused on the thing that I already liked, which was education and learning and growing. But I was also exposed, like my roommate freshman year was from like Korea. It was an international boarding school. So I'm eating kimchi, in my dorm room, and just really being exposed to different cultures, going to Catholic church with the girls from Mexico. Hola, ¿cómo está? Pero tú sabes, So it was great.
Were there any Nigerians there?
There was a girl from Malawi.
Okay.
Malawi, 2 girls from Malawi, 1 girl from a lot of Middle Eastern girls. Not another Nigerian, but we had international night.
So you liked it there?
I liked it, plus we also had dances with all boys schools, and so the thing was, if you could get a boyfriend at a different school, you can be a little player. So
did you?
I did. I made it for lost time. There was no one to slap me. There was nobody to slap me.
Where's he now?
Where are they? Because I had multiple.
Wow.
Yes. Like I said, I made up for
You were
lost
changing
time.
them.
I was, like diapers. Wait, which it's Carson Long? I had you had your Carson Long boyfriend, your Valley Forge boyfriend, your Phelps boyfriend. Yeah. Because then they would have like spring formals and different dances. So the idea was like you had a dress for every formal. Mm-hmm.
Oh, nice.
I mean, I was not born yesterday.
But not in touch with any of them.
Why would I be?
Ah, damn it.
Why would I be? Ebuka, I don't know what expose you really wanted from this podcast, but I'm sorry to disappoint you. No.
What about the girls from school? Still cool with any of them?
Yeah. Well, from high school, for sure.
Yeah. Nice.
One of them married my cousin, so yes.
Oh, wow. Brought her into the family.
In fact.
Nice. So you went to GW after that?
I did, because I wanted to come back closer to home, but my mom actually worked at
This
Howard.
George Washington University.
The George Washington University. Thank you very much. My mom worked at Howard, but I didn't want to go to Howard because
Just say it.
because it was too close. My mom would just be like, "I'm outside your dorm," and I'm like, But even though
I mean, she can't slap you at that point. But
she can still slap me today. I may fight back, but she can still slap me today. I may hold her wrist and shake, but it will the connection can be made. GW, like getting to GW was difficult because they had traffic circles, and my mom, these traffic circles, I lose my way every time. I was like, praise God, I'm going to GW. And so, but that's one thing I'm really grateful to my parents for. Like, she didn't make me go to Howard because I could have gone for free, and she was just like, okay, if that's where you want to go, okay, we'll find money, we'll figure it out. So
yeah, your brothers didn't go there?
2 of my brothers went to Howard, and then another brother went to Tufts.
No, okay. So you were there alone. Oh, nice. How was GW outside of the schooling? Because I'm sure, books were still very important, but
yeah, GW. I understand the reason that because I thought I was going to GW because I lived in a hotel my freshman year. It was like a hotel that was converted, like by the Watergate. And I was like, oh, this is sexy. I was like, the first time living in a dorm, and I didn't know I was bougie, but that was my first taste of like, I like nice things.
Yeah.
I like luxury things. And so that's really, I wanted to go there because of the dorm, but also they had this early selection program where after your sophomore year, you could get into med school without taking the MCATs. And I don't like standardized tests. I feel like I'm a very smart person, but once you now put a test in me that I have to like remember things that I studied for like the last 3 years. I failed it. I'm telling you, I'm failing it. It's not good. Like I'm not good at tests, but I understand material, etc. It's just, it's not my thing. So I was like, oh, okay, great. If I can just do my job and do well, I'll get into med school, and then that'll be my ticket.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes God uses things to lure you in, and then makes you pivot. So I actually got saved freshman year of college at a Bible study. And then I met this like radical woman who was part of that program, was studying to be an anesthesiologist. And so I was like, oh, okay. And then she was the one who was like, she was a virgin and waiting till she got married. And I was like, well, what the hell? Why would you do that? Like, I have questions. But then it was just like, got him. You know, I like at that point, God was like, here's why. Here's why you're here. And I was just like, oh, snap. So it wasn't even about the early selection program, which I didn't get into. And I found that out after my sophomore year. And I should have pivoted. I should have been like, Mom and Dad, I really don't want to go to med school. Like, you know, if I had gotten into the program, this would be a different story, because now it's like, well, I have to go. I can't not go. And I think God was closing that door. But then it was just like, it's okay. You can still take the MCAS and, you know, do it the regular route. And I was like, oh, dang it. So I actually graduated undergrad, worked for GW, got my master's in public health, because I was just stalling. I knew I didn't want to go, but I didn't know how to break my parents' heart.
Yeah.
So I was just stalling. Got my master's in public health. And then afterwards, the questions, and now, are you going? And I was like, no, I'm going to Liberia. So I worked in Monrovia doing public health. Then the recession happened in America. I got back in 2009, and it was like, now, are you going? I was like, I'm moving to New York. You know, like, and that's when I moved to New York and started doing comedy full time.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. We'll get to the comedy story, but just two quick questions I want to ask. Because the first one, because I see a lot of late night talk show hosts make jokes about it, comedians as well, about your surname. For the Nigerian, it's regular.
It's Orji.
Yeah, but it's Orji. So it gets talked about a lot. What was that like? Because you're talking about bullying a lot. I'm just wondering.
I don't think the kids in middle school, they didn't know.
They never played it.
High school, somebody said like something silly, but I was like, do better. You know, I think at that point I was like, you're smarter than this. Get out of here. Yeah.
Yeah. And then, of course, with your parents now, because you've talked a lot about, you know, how their upbringing, you know, shaped you, basically, and how, you know, the Nigerian-ness of them is probably why you know, excelled and all of that. But at the same time, you've also talked about how hard, which a lot of us Nigerians can relate to, you know, where we know how our parents can be with their hard-handedness. But I also know you love your parents a lot, because I saw your special. You know, you went back home with your dad. It was obvious that there's a strong connection. But do they ever look back and feel the type of way? Do you get that sense from them that, oh, were we too hard? Do you make them feel bad in any way?
No, I didn't make them feel bad. Like, because the goal was always to make, like, for me, I'm like, listen, this was not a Yvonne Orji dream. This was a God dream. Yeah. And to which they were like, God, so you think you're the only one that prays to God? Came like us. And I was like, what? You know, like, they had that thing of like, why are we not praying to him before you were born? And I was like, man, you know what, God, I don't know what to tell you. You knew who my parents were going to be. It is up to you to have this battle with them, because I can't try and stay on the path of purpose and try and please them at the same time. So this is not going to work. And I think it's so interesting, the amnesia and the denial of most Nigerians in general, you know.
It wasn't that bad.
Yeah, I mean, we hoped that we would make it. Wait, what?
We meant the best for you.
You know, and the thing is, again, this is where therapy comes into place. It doesn't mean that you absolve them of everything, but it means that you find your way to make peace with it and to understand, you know, it's like they can't give you what they were never given. You know, like when my dad talks about the Biafran War and how he, you know, I wanted to go to London to study, and then, you know, my brother got missing in the war, and it was just grandpapa and I, so I couldn't go to London, so I stayed in the village. You know, so it was kind of like...
Sorry, you have an uncle that's missing?
He's late now.
Oh, okay.
But, you know, he went missing
at the time, okay.
And so it's like when you hear that, and it's like said so like nonchalantly, of course, there's deep pain in there, but it's like, well, what does that mean that you had this goal and this desire to go to London to be a different kind of a student, and then like now you like life happened and you have to pivot for the family, right? So that now becomes your expectation. Like, my children will do what's best for the family because that's what I did. You know, my mom, same story. She wanted to go to France to become a French teacher, and her father was like, reroute yourself to London and become a nurse, because then you always have a good profession. You can find a good husband. Like, everything was delineated in a very, this makes sense.
Yeah.
You know, this is your duty to us, to every, you know, my mom's the only daughter and oldest of 7. So, you know, it was just like, there was no, how do you argue with that? And so I think for me, when I had the gall to be like, what if I want something else? Like, you cannot want something else. Like, you know, it's like,
this is how we walk.
You know, like for them, it was just like, we were never given the option to want something else. So I don't even know how to parent this person. Like, and so then they took it as like, why are you, you know, disobeying us? And it's like, I'm not disobeying you. You literally brought me, my siblings, to a whole country where the options are plenteous. You know what I mean? Like, we can figure out our destinies however we want. And, you know, it was beyond a culture clash. It was a mental clash. They weren't equipped. They weren't equipped for the thing. Because it was also, it didn't make sense to me until a friend of mine who was older when he moved from Nigeria to America explained it to me this way. He's like, listen, if you tell your parents you want to do engineering, they know that, you know, Mrs. Wachuku's son did engineering. They know that, you know, Mr. So-and-so's daughter also read. So if it's mechanical, if it's whatever.
So it makes sense.
We can figure it out. In fact, we'll call them, and then they can help you, because we can now guide you. We will make sure that you will succeed, because we have sowed seeds into these other people's lives, whereby now we can cash in on it to help our daughter also succeed. You told them you want to make people laugh for a living.
I have no idea how to start.
There is nobody that they can call. That's not even a profession.
Or relates to it.
There's no pipeline to helping you succeed, because it's also no two comedians. It's not guaranteed that both of them will succeed. You know, there's no trajectory. There's no blueprint for this thing.
What
right?
is this thing?
So now their job is one. So he said you are handicapping them of doing the one job that they were set out to, which is to be a parent. You have handcuffed them, and they don't know. And so when he brought that kind of perspective, I understood a little bit more, because now in their job was to be like, okay, great, let's break her down to now follow suit into something where now we feel needed and necessary, and also we feel certain, and she can feel certain and assured in this profession that we all know leads to X, Y, and Z. And with all the new information and knowledge that you can have, you can be like, yeah, but that's not right. But it's at the same time, you're like, yeah, but they were doing the best they could with what they had. It still doesn't absolve them of, you know, all the things that they said and did while, you know, I was coming up. But I get it. You know, I think one thing that we have to be able to do is look at both sides. Two things, I always say this, 2 things can be true. 2 things can be true. They can mean well. They can also hurt your feelings.
Do they get it, though?
I think they get it to the extent to which they are able to get it, right? They don't know the ins and outs. Like, I mean, they don't know the ins and outs of what I actually went through. Like, you know what I mean? They have my book, and in it, I talk about my depression. I talk about when I almost gave up, and bamboozled by Jesus, how God tricked me.
Are you going to read it every time?
Yes, all the time. They don't know. I don't think you can really understand how hard. You know what I mean? Because it's also that thing of like, you're here now. You know, it's very the Nigerian thing of, you're here now. We thank God. You know, like, it's just like, we're not really, again, food is ready. The process, we don't really know about the process, but food is ready. Angli is on HBO. Yeah.
Igbo name?
Angli.
Angreka, chai. Angre.
Yes. So, you know, that's the part to which they can understand. You know, my mom does a good job of like, Googling me every night. I think she has Google alerts, which is kind of disturbing.
Very proud of you.
Very proud, yes. That, yeah. But and she finds YouTube clips, so like sometimes she'll send me stuff that I've done before I even see it. It's like, yes, I saw it on YouTube, and I was like, okay. So it's, but I also temper what I share with them for my own sanity, because.
Yeah. Do they watch everything you do?
They watch a lot of Insecure, but what I mean is like they temper. When I say I temper, there's a way you can now come and say, even I have a podcast and it's amazing, and I can be like, oh my God, that's so awesome. Like, do you know how many few people have podcasts and are in this space, and like, this is amazing, right? And then you can now come to someone else and be like, I have a podcast. That's the one way of just talking.
Bounce. The beat of the culture.